Bon, moi je voulais commencer au soir. Moi je voulais commencer. Mon Dieu, excusez-moi. Voir pas tellement bon au soir, pour ça. Mais nous allons continuer. Celle ça, moi je voulais commencer, puis c'est. La tennis à couiller, ça c'est Palay Fwanchman au soir. Avec Ras IPA August. Nous allons stream live. Parce que Palay Fwanchman, avec nous, stream live, nous aussi, à 92 points et 91 points. Moi, je vais commencer au soir. La tenue en situation, pass-through mécanisme. Pass-through mécanisme. Et pass-through mécanisme, c'est supposé depuis les 8 mois ça là. Il fait après les 8. Il fait après les 8. Mais nous pas jouer une pièce bénéfice à ça. Bénéfice là, nous jouons, je pas à compter ça. Regardez le bénéfice là. L'Amérique, j'ai amené prix gaz là. Pour 88,3 dollars par baril. Mais nous ne pouvons pas mener pour y descendre. The Americans have brought down the price of gas. It went down almost like how it was in the 90s. In the 90s to 88.3% or $88.3 per barrel. Yet still, we have not gotten no benefit from that. The price of petroleum products have remained the same. They have remained the same. Why is that, Philip J. Pierre? The pass-through mechanism supposed to deal with the reality of prices on the market. And the prices on the market is that prices have gone down to how it was in the 90s. In the 1990s, 88.3% or $88.9 US per barrel of gas. Why do we have to still continue paying $45 point something for a tank of gas? Kerosene have gone up. The only thing that have gone, the price of gas for vehicles remain the same. And the only thing that have gone down a bit is the $100 price on the 100 pound petroleum gas, the cooking gas. That's the only thing that have gone down a bit. But apart from that, everything else have gone either remain the same or they gone up. Why is that? I thought that they would bring some relief to the citizenry of this country because the price of gas is going down. And as a result, we would get the benefits of that. So Philip, what are you talking about when you say you're putting people first? You putting people first. How? How are you doing that? When the price of gas is going down, astronomically down in the international price. But you keep the prices the same way. And the whole thing about, the whole question of subsidy. Whose money you using to subsidize? Not the taxpayers' money. It's the same taxpayers' money that you're using to subsidize the prices. Is it your money, Philip? Is it you and Richard Frederick and Ernest Hillel money that we're using to subsidize the price of gas or anything else? The way you're behaving is as if it's your money. It's not your money, it's our money. So I don't see why the price of gas have to remain the same. The price of cooking gas remain the same. The price of gas for vehicles remain the same. The price of kerosene gone up in an area where the price of gas have gone down by more than $100 US. The price of petroleum products have gone down by more than 100 US. Where are we here with this Philip JP administration? While we all got rid of the Alan Chastney administration. But what is the Philip JP administration doing? Not much. When you ask him about crime, he seems to be talking. Well, now I heard Joachim Henry is talking about what Dominica is doing. Dominica is giving people electricity, pay as you go. It's almost like where you have your phone and you put in credit on your phone, pay as you go. When the credit finishes, you free it. So he's asking for that. But one of the things I really want to talk about, honestly, is why Lucilec and Wasco wants to give people water or light only if the land belongs to them. That's what you need to work on, Joachim Henry. Why do people have to suffer as a result? Whether they're squatting or not squatting. Why do you have to make sure that Lucilec or Wasco have to say, well, the land must belong to you for you to be able to get electricity? Electricity is a right that everybody should have. A right for electricity, a right to have water, a right for education. Education is a right, not a privilege. I am ashamed of how we're dealing with people now. Even looking after children is a right. Children are an asset of the state. Why should it be the sole responsibility of a father or a mother to look after children? It should be the responsibility of the state. And now you all are making it look as if to say, so if you don't earn land, the land doesn't belong to you, you cannot get electricity, you cannot get water. It's a shame for something like that to happen in St. Lucia. I want this government to work in accordance with international standards. And the international standard is that education is a right. Health is a right. It's a right for everybody to have proper health care available to them. Water is a right. You must have water available to you. If the government cannot provide you with water at every house, then they should provide some standpipes. Make sure they have some standpipes somewhere, so people can get water. Electricity is another thing. Give everybody who can pay the electricity bill, give them electricity. That's a right. The other thing is, you know what's a right as well? People who are viewing me out there, internet is a right. You must have a right for the internet. Nobody should deprive a young child of the internet. Because without the internet, how could you provide yourself with proper education? So education, water, electricity, housing, proper housing, looking after children, and don't leave the responsibility for fathers that you all want to send them to prison because they can't pay for child support and they're supposed to end up in jail. And a child's supposed to know, well, my father went to jail because he couldn't pay for my child support. And sometimes that child really loved their father. So Philip, you're not doing a good job in that regard. The crime situation is escalating. The security of people in the state is the right for the government to provide proper security for citizens of the country. Y'all don't believe that? Well, I believe that. People must be provided with proper security. The lives and livelihoods of citizens must be protected by the law, by this government or any government. We have all these senators, 4 of them was on air talking about how of the lady who they killed in Swaziland. You know, you all come out and with a show of strength to support her. Is it because she was an avid supporter of the SLP? You all must come out and fight and stand up and take a stand against crime in the country. Not stands against people because they are supporters of your party. When the 2 women in Swaziland, in Saltiba, sorry, was killed 6 months apart, no, I didn't see none of y'all guys. None of y'all senators, y'all didn't stand up for them people. This is the kind of situation that we are faced with in this country. This cherry picking, curry favoring. It's not helping. Let me make you all understand something clearly. Clearly, I don't support this thing. I don't ascribe to it. It doesn't matter which party that's in power. I don't ascribe to this kind of things. Today, the SLP is in office. Y'all did all y'all talk about corruption here, corruption there. I heard Richard Frederick talking about a guy just recently. See how the guy is involved when the guy went to prison. But Richard, some of the people that are associated with you have gone to prison. So why are you doing that? Why are you trying to mess up one person's life, call their name on social media that they have been to prison, and you're associated with people who have been to prison? What sense is that really making? Where we are going with that someone who's in government is making that kind of assertion, making that kind of statement against another citizen, as if someone say that the government has put on VAT, and even though they talk about it in terms of the ignorance, what you must do or you should do is rearrange the ignorance by telling them the truth about it. What's the situation? But instead of calling them all kind, you can't even pronounce words properly. I've heard you mention, you're talking about words you cannot pronounce properly, Richard. But you're trying to ridicule people because of the way they speak. You from countryside. You are a country bookie as well. You're from town. And sometimes when you use words, I wonder how a man like you who's a lawyer can't pronounce words properly. But that's the point. Don't try to ridicule people because they are not very well educated. And instead of, correcting them and telling them, well, listen, you're wrong about that. We know the government is talking about VAT. You are the first person, Richard, who came there and spoke about the VAT business. You said how it's just your idea of if you had the power, that you would have increased the VAT because it is Alan Chastney who bring up the VAT. And then afterwards, Timothy Antoine came and said how St. Lucia is facing a recession, and then the rest of that. Later on, Philip JPS said that he's putting the country on notice that he will raise VAT. He said it on Look News and so on. Give us a break in this country. I am not in support of this type of rhetoric. I wanted to ask you all guys, have all you all this, openly declared your assets to the Integrity Commission? I wanted to ask that. All the you all pointing fingers at people about corruption, Guy Joseph and others about corruption. Have you declared your assets to the Integrity Commission? Have you done that? Have any of you done that? Have any of you declared what's your assets in the Integrity Commission, including all the ladies who say they are senators and they put themselves out there? I have a serious excuse me. I have a serious problem with you guys who are pretending, parading as if you all are the angels from heaven. And as far as I know, you all are not. You all are not. This country is in need of serious people. I mean, I was driving, well, I need to give you all that joke. I was driving down into a minibus from Bukaj. The minibus passed through Marshall. And the minibus driver was like, my God, what a bad road. The roads are so bad. This is the road where a prime minister is the representative for. And I was like, miss it. And they say all Philip is, the man was like, all Philip is doing is patching up. He doesn't fix no road, grade the road, and try to get it organized and get it thing, and so on and so forth. Philip, what are you doing? Both you and Kenny Anthony is from one thing in terms of your work in your own constituencies. The people keep voting for you all. I don't know why. Is it because our IQ level is low? As they say, that we are one before the last in terms of our IQ level? Or is it because people just are ignorant and backward about a lot of things and they just vote for you guys just because they're just voting for you guys? Criminal activity is on the rise in the country. People killing, gunshots here, gunshots there. Everybody think that, they could do what they want. Because people have no confidence in the system, nobody's coming forward to give information. So as a result, criminals think they could do things and get away with it. Guys, pretty larceny is high in the country. People have to pick their own fruits prematurely, because they're afraid that some guys would pass and steal it before they have a chance to have it. I remember sometime I bought some mangoes from a lady. Very unusual type of mangoes. They were kind of way not so sweet. And I told her, well, I bought the mangoes for you. They were nice, but they were not so sweet. And I tell her, I didn't feel no way about the not so sweet. Because I don't want to eat too many sweet things. I stopped eating sugar and all these things and so on. But you know what she told me? I picked them early because the first set of mangoes, I never had an opportunity to eat one from them. Guys stole them. Everything in this country is in decadence. Nothing is working properly here in St. Lucia. The prison, I don't know. Hillary Herman, I don't know what you're doing. And if you're doing anything, I don't know if it's effective enough. The information I have is that prisoners have the key to their own cell. They control their own cell. When I knew about prison, I like to say, it was like prison officers are the ones that open the cell for you and close the cell for you. Today, prisoners are opening their own cell for themselves and they are closing their own cells. And hear the bigger joke, you haven't heard it yet. You haven't heard the bigger joke yet. The bigger joke is the reason why we don't have and a high upsurge in criminal activities in the country. That prisoners, like before, when they were on Bridge Street, they used to leave the prisoner, go and commit activities, go and commit crime, rape women. You remember the time about, oh my God, what's the name of the word they used to use? Like pass it, or there was another word, you know. They unbrain women, pass it and pass this and pass that. Fellas used to leave the prisons and go out and rape people, rob them and so on. I think the word hombre was one of the words that was used. They say the reason why these prisoners that are in the Borderley Correctional Facility are not doing that is because they are good prisoners. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine fellas not committing and behaving a certain way because people believe they are good prisoners? But, no. St. Lucia must get a badge of honor for having good prisoners. They have a lot of prisoners that are recidivists. They keep going in and out. Recidivist actually means that you keep going in and coming out. Going in and coming out of prison. Going in and coming out of prison. That's what recidivist means, or recidivism. So we have a set of prisoners that keep going back in and to and fro in the prison. How are we going to help that? If prisoners are allowed to do what they want, if they are collaborators, collaborating with them who are prison guards, who have minutes, cell phone minutes, and it's passed on to them for in whatever way. I don't know. I cannot tell you how. But them same minutes are finding themselves out there that ordinary citizens can buy from their friends and their family and so on and so forth. Tell me where we're going. Tell me where we are. St. Lucia is in deep to-do, my brothers. You could say whatever you want about whosoever you want. Chasney was not doing a good job, and we all campaigned against him and took him out. Philip J. Pierre, someone told me why we put Philip J. Pierre there when Philip said that he was satisfied to work as the deputy of Kenny Anthony. He wasn't, inspiring. He had no aspiration to vie for any higher position than to be deputy political leader. And if Kenny Anthony made him deputy prime minister, that's all he was aspiring to be. Not like Sarah Flood, who said that if she had gotten any opportunity to be political leader, she would grab it with both hands. Philip didn't say that. Philip said he was okay with being where he was. So a fella told me, Gazan, c'est ça ou ten bougladi. Actuellement, on mettait bougla au premier ministre. Ou quoi qu'il fait plus meilleur parce que quoi. So he's saying to me, if you put a man who thinks that his position must be or should be deputy political leader, and then you eventually make him prime minister, you want him to behave like a prime minister? This week we heard the whole debacle with Peter Chico, where Eunice Hiller said that he will not let Alan Chasney go with the chance that he gave, well, words to that effect, because I can't use the exact word. The chance he gave Peter Chico, he will not give Alan Chasney that chance. You know, you just remind me where Ernest Hiller said that he had the motivation to go after people. Now, go after people how? People he don't like, people he think that don't like him, or people he don't like, or whatever. But he have the motivation to go against people that he probably don't like. But he have the motivation. And that word is powerful. You could say what you want is a powerful word. Someone who has the motivation to go after people. And so he had the motivation. He said if he had the power, he would fire Peter Chico. Now he's saying that he give Peter Chico a chance, but he will not give Alan Chastity the same chance. But my friend, you claim you are going to bring these people to court. You have not done it up to now. You went to mediation so you could produce and present to them the invoice for the vehicle. Well, look, now it's even worse now. Now, Alan Chastity has said that he gave the Speaker of the House a document that was produced by the Director of Finance. And that document is saying that you have a joint account with Jufali. Is that true, Ernest? Do you have a joint account with Jufali? And if you have a joint account with Jufali, how could you have a joint account with Jufali when you was head of the mission in England? Because that's the state money. Now, where's that money now? Kenny Anthony said that they have already completed the whole project with the whole lab for diabetes and so on and so forth. So how this thing work out? Can you Anthony tell us? I mean, you're blaming Hile too, but some of you, I need to put that one out. You're just talking about Hile. What about Kenny Anthony, who was the Prime Minister at the time? What about Philip J. Pierre, who was the minister responsible for infrastructure and was responsible for transport and so on, in terms of allowing he to get the freeway to get his vehicle and get his vehicle license and so on in the department? What about Alva Baptiste? You're afraid to mention these people's name. Alva Baptiste was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. What about him and how the facilitation was done through his ministry? They have a lot of people that are tainted in corrupt ways and corrupt activities in the country. I want you all to call Philip J. Pierre, call Kenny Anthony, call Alva Baptiste, tell them IPA is up here asking them these questions. Say to them, answer the questions, come in public and say what you think that's not true that I'm saying here, but you need to answer to these things. How could someone who was head of a mission get one vehicle for his brother, pay everything in it for himself, but then give it to his brother, and afterwards trying to get another one for himself? And because he only allowed to get one, he did all he can to do it in the name of the state. And the question is, whether did he use the state money to buy that vehicle? The question is that. There is a question. I'm asking you the question. If the money that you used to buy this vehicle was part of the money that was supposed to be monies that was for a lab, a diabetic lab in St. Lucia, and it was a joint account with you and Jufali, did you do anything wrong? Is it correct that this is true or not true? And Hile, I need to tell you something. You kept and you keep on saying, and in fact, to me, you have been implicating yourself. You keep calling yourself, well, as far as I've heard you, I suspect you keep calling yourself a crook. Because you're saying they keep treating you as if you're a common crook. Is that true? They keep dealing with you. You said one time when you was on a show with Stanley Lucian, when Lucian asked you how you think about all these things that are going on and so on with you and the Jufali thing with the money and so on, and all the vehicle and the Range Rover and so on. You know what you said? You said not you. Monsieur, not you. You said you don't feel away. You said, are your friends and them, your friends that digging horrors, and your friends saying, oh my God, if you wanted, a vehicle, you could have checked me out, I'll give you money to buy. Since when your friend implicating you in a criminal activity? Friends? If I have a friend that do that to me, he can't talk to me tomorrow morning, for sure. We are in deep doo-doo. This is the worst St. Lucia I've ever been. We are in deep doo-doo. The whole question of the special prosecutor is another problem, another case in point. How could you have a situation with a special prosecutor when you already have laws in place for the DPP in St. Lucia? You are duplicating these things. Why we don't have something to strengthen the office of the DPP? Why do we have to set up another thing that is going to, well, we don't even know if they could do anything anyhow. Because we have the Integrity Commission that can't do nothing. We are putting laws and doubling up on legislation, and this legislation saying how $40,000, $20,000 and 15 years in prison and all them things there for if you are found with firearms. But the most important thing is to find you with them first. To me, it doesn't even matter the amount in terms of the fine. What is more important to me is to find fellas with firearms and bring the perpetrators to the criminal justice system. The most important thing is that as long as we cannot find guys with the guns, take the guns off the street, prevent guns from coming in here, we are failing our own selves. How would we do, what can we do to let people have confidence in the police force? We also need something else. We need another thing here. And that thing is a whistleblower, legislation to protect the whistleblowers. I must say, we need to protect whistleblowers. Because the point I'm making is, if people working in a particular ministry of government, their boss is doing all kind of hanky-panky, all kind of corruption, but they can't talk because there's a possibility their boss could transfer them, move them from here to there or whatever, demote them or prevent them from getting promotion. Would they talk? So if there was something in place as a witness, a whistleblower protection, guys would be able to come out and say things. If there was a situation where there was witness protection, we're spending millions in Carnival, but we can't spend nothing to protect witnesses, to protect our system of the judiciary. All of you out there, magistrates, judges, police, head of police officers, and all different people, those of you who are jurors out there, tell me if what I'm saying is wrong. Call your friends. Call your friend of your friend and your friend of your friend. Tell him I'm talking here and tell him to listen to me. And tell me if what I'm saying is not something we need to straighten out in this country. Tell me if these things about the criminal activity in this country and the judiciary that is not working, tell me if it's not something we need to do something about to make it work. Why do people have to go months upon months upon months upon months, weeks upon weeks, coming to court to deal with one matter and it's not resolved? Some people almost change their mind about going to court. They just forget about it. And criminals know that. The criminals are smart. They're not stupid. Where are we going from here? We want to send guys to prison because they refuse to, let us say they are delinquent in looking after the children. So how many people will put in prison for that? And when you come out of the prison system, you still owe the $1,000 or the whatever $1,000 you owe. The government must chip in. You all have our taxpayers' money, playing the fool with it. That's not your money. The monies you all paying for subsidies not yours own neither. The CIP money that you all have $100 million of CIP money, you all have taken charge of. You all take it away from the board or from committee or whatever you call it. And you all have taken charge of it, you all in the cabinet. What are you all doing with these monies? Honorable Richard Frederick, they gave you $10 million. We're not hearing nothing about that $10 million. You all build some little huts, some little shacks. You all say you all repair houses. You all even tell some people, I send some people to you all. And the people let them say you all not assisted them because they learned or whatever they are on doesn't belong to them. So tell me something. What are you all doing to assist people who I need? $10 million you have in your hand. I said from the beginning, I smell a rat. That was a recipe for corruption. That $10 million you took and Philip JP gave you. How much money have you spent in that money there, Mr. Honorable Minister? How much money you have spent in that money? How much money that is left in that project? You're talking about, Samuel Bowers and what? Samuel Bowers is correct. He may have an organization. I don't really know if I should follow him or not. This THISSS with Buffalo. I don't know if it's something that anybody would wish to want to follow. But the point I'm making, he has been making some very sterling points. He has been bringing some serious arguments about this whole question of that $10 million. The whole question of the honesty of people in government, what they are doing, how they're tricking people, how they come and talking about corruption and does nothing to alleviate or to stop corruption. All they do is to talk about it, defame people, cause people to say they will not vote for a particular person because they point fingers at them with corruption. But when they get in there, they does nothing they does against corruption. They do nothing against corruption. They never take no stand against corruption. And that's the point. I don't know what to say, but the reality about it is we are here, and I just want to say to you, we have some numbers there. Although a lot of you have told me before that you all have been listening to me, you all have been taking the program in, but you all have not been calling. 489-4781. I would appreciate if you all call and let me have some kind of conversation about what is going on in the country. This is your country. Don't be fooled by what is going on. You have a voice. Don't let nobody have you have fear of putting your voice out there. Because what is going on here is not correct for St. Lucia. It's not moving St. Lucia forward. No, it's not. I heard Joachim Henry, talking about, the same thing that has been established in Dominica of, pay as you go to get electricity and all them kind of things. I don't know if that's the answer. A lot of people have been talking now to give you insurance, pay as you go. You pay 3 months, you pay 2 months, you pay another month, and so on and so forth. Pay as you go. That's what has been happening in a number of countries, and I'm not against anything like that. If it's something that that's something where people can afford, well, I don't know. Let's see how it works. But the other thing I want to ensure is that it doesn't matter where you're living, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter whether you're squatting or not, that at least you have the right to have some electricity and have water running in your house. The other thing that should be made available, let government put some hot spots everywhere. so everyone have access to the internet, so children can do their work and so on. Give children a right to have education. You can't buy them books. Put them e-books in place. Put e-books there for them. You understand? These things are fundamental rights. This thing is no privilege nowadays. Water, electricity, education, the internet is a right. This thing is a privilege thing. Give it to the parents and the children. Let them make these things available everywhere in St. Lucia. But you can see Philip ain't really willing for that yet. He had this little park where he had there coming into Toulouse there. And from the moment he was not in office, he abandoned the whole thing. Philip, what kind of brain you have as a representative in a constituency? That even if you're not in government, you can get no one to sponsor and have this thing running as usual? To sponsor the internet in that place, sponsor to keep the thing running, and you become Prime Minister of St. Lucia. And people want to, if you say these things, people want to say, oh, you're against the man, you're fighting down the man. For what? The man has proven useless in one way or the other. Because if you are the constituency representative in a constituency, at least you have people that you could face and say, sponsor this, do that. You have an internet, sponsor the internet. You have a little park there, sponsor things to keep the park running. Keep the little games and the little things going for the children then. The castles and, the bouncing castles and other things like that. You strictly, because you're not in government, you abandon that thing. Because, Philip, you know something about you. I want your friends to tell you that I'm talking about you. Because you believe so much in victimizing people, that the moment you're out of office, all you're talking about is victimization. You never stop talking about victimization because you are the chef, chief cook and buckle washer when it comes to victimization. You are the chef, cook and buckle washer. You are like the hung dog in the SLP to victimize people. So anytime you're not in office, first thing you start talking about victimization and the victimizing people, victimize, that's all the word you mention. Well, you see me personally, I know what you're saying is not true. Some of the things that you are saying may not be true. You all talk all kind of thing about Guy Joseph and how Guy Joseph is this and this and that. I have no, excuse me, I'm not holding no brief for Guy Joseph. I think, in my opinion, that the UWP need to set the house in proper order. They need to have a very good party with a proper, organizational structure. They need to have an institution called the UWP. Stop this old kind of style of Comptonites. Comptonites gone. Compton should be at the back burner. Compton should be something that people must go in a book and read about. There should be a plaque somewhere talking about Compton and his contribution. I am agreeing that Kenny Anthony have done nothing better than Compton. He governed, he walked in the same footsteps of John Compton, and he have not better John Compton, and neither Philip JP and so on. Even Alan Chastney, I believe, have tried, and he tried a few new things. He made a few stupid statements, some errors that not good. You have the people from Sky talking a pile of crap that doesn't make no sense. As Alan Chastney is like the angel from heaven. I don't think that's proper. You understand? And you have Farrell Prudent. He's talking as if to say, he want to be the chairman of the party, but he already supporting Alan Chastney. To me, that's not correct. If you want to be the chairman of a party, I don't think your first move must be trying to support the incumbent political leader, but to show, neutrality and so on and so forth. So we have a problem in St. Lucia. This, I don't know where this is going, because when this show a face like Buffalo Odlum, I'm just trying to figure out where they're going. I mean, now Odlum, Buffalo, I have no problem with you. I'm not your enemy. You may not be my best friend, but I'm just saying, if Bowers want to go somewhere Why you start with you? I mean, you could start somewhere else. Maybe you should even start with Aaron or something, Aaron Alexander or something like that. But to start with you, Buffalo, I don't know. I mean, I have my bias and I may not always be right. I'm here talking my thing and so on and so forth. But I just don't think that this is the right mix. And if you want to go into a thing, into a new political party, in a new political era, and so on, and Buffalo Odlum is the name you have as your first step, I don't think it's a step in the right direction. That's my opinion. I think maybe if you had associated with the guys who have some national party or something, I forget the name, and maybe if you had associated with them, that made the song more prudent to me. The numbers are there, 489-4781. If you guys could call the number, you could also call it on WhatsApp. I want to say that to you all guys. Because if you cannot get through the number as calling it direct, you can call it on WhatsApp. So put that in your WhatsApp number and put it as Caribbean Hits FM. Caribbean Hits FM in your number in WhatsApp, or just or Hits FM. Put it 489 as Hits FM in your number and put them on your WhatsApp number. And I'm sure make sure you put 1758. No, most times WhatsApp numbers work better with the plus 1758 plus 1758, and I think it will be much better if you put it that way. That's all I could say to you now. So if you all get a chance to call us here and tell us what you guys have on your mind in terms of some of the things we have discussed here so far. I have a message there. I don't know. I have no idea what that message is about, so I'm not going to play it. So I'm sorry about it. But call me here and talk to me about some of the things that really affecting us here in St. Lucia. The situation of crime that are just climbing, and murders are happening. A young lady, some people fire shots after just recently. So the criminal activities are just climbing. We have the RSS in St. Lucia. Philip JPM mentioned it this week and said how they have, since last week, they have the RSS here, but they are not assisting, they are not helping in solving the crime as we think they should have. And the Commissioner of Police have asked for assistance abroad, and both regionally and internationally, and that's where we are now. We heard about the situation in the prison. Prison officers have laid laid down their arms, and laid down their work tools, and they are in it's a critical situation now that they are not working, and the prison an area where there could be serious insurrection, serious revolt and violence and uncontrollable activity, violently and otherwise, that we are sometimes may be unable to control, is happening in our country, with the prison population over 400 and something prisoners in our prison facility. And then we have a situation where prison officers are laying down their work tools and so on as a result of whatever. Hilary Herman, they said that they are trying to solve the problem. And again, solving the problem how? Solving the problem how? There is a committee that they put in place, I understood, by Virginia Albert. One of the things they're trying to get is a new prison director. They want to get rid of you, Hillary. They want to get rid of you, Hillary, and get a new prison director. Who's that person? I am not sure. I understood that Philip preferred Vern Gad. Vern Gad is a good friend of mine, and my good friend Vern Gad. Hail up, Mr. Governor God, and I don't know how this thing is going to work. I'm not sure if Virginia Albert is in support of Vern God. I'm not sure. But, it's because you have a situation where you have, a prime minister who's the minister of national security, and you have another minister who's the minister of home affairs. So there must be confusion there. You just don't know what to do there. You just don't know how to understand how things are running there. And that's the problem. Someone was telling me earlier today that one of the problems we need to solve is the problem of having people living in the cemeteries. Like, for example, going up the Fulasho Road, going up there to Hospital Roadside, the cemetery there where was, I don't know if it's a Catholic cemetery, and people are saying that they should try to get rid of the people who live in there. Why is that? Why do we want to get rid of people who find themselves that they have to find a place, a quarter to live and so on, unless we have somewhere else to give them, somewhere to relocate them? And I'm not vexed about people should not be living in cemeteries. To me, it's a kind of sacred thing, and to me, it's a kind of desecration of people's souls that are dead, and the souls are at peace and at rest, and to have people having dwelling quarters in these areas there. It's a kind of desecration, I must say. But then again, to take them out of there and just run them out there, I don't think that's the right thing to do. To me, I think we need to find proper dwelling place for them and so on. Housing is a serious problem in the country. St. Lucia needs something like 12 to 15,000 houses to house people. And all Richard Frederick can do is build some little huts. Some little huts that has no standard in terms of basic housing standard for people to live in. Some things that doesn't have no lavatory facility, no toilet, no nothing, no this, no that. How he came about with that? Does he think that people supposed to live in deplorable housing conditions and that they must continue living in these deplorable housing conditions? Does he think that, that's what you deserve? Live in these deplorable housing conditions? I don't know. I'm just asking. And Alva, I understood that you have a serious problem with someone in your constituency. I think it's the Cocodan area, and you have not been dealing with them properly in terms of trying to get some land where they want to get, and they have paid the list and everything, and you are trying the best to mess them up because they were assisted by Bradley Felix. If that's what you're doing, that's not nice. That's not nice. Somebody with the kind of verbal kind of diarrhea that you have been spewing on us, as if you're some kind of George Odlum and so on, with your machinations and all your kind of rhetoric that you have been pushing forward. I don't know why you would want to do that to a citizen of the country who wants to do some business and who have paid, a lease agreement to the DCA. DCA have approved of their work, and that you think because it was done by some UWP person that you must prevent the person from going forward. If that is what you're doing, I think you should stop it. You shouldn't continue doing things like that. That's not a nice thing to do. I just hope that this is not true. I hope that this is just something people are talking about, but it's not true. Let's just hope that this is not true. And I'm sure you're going to agree with me that you would prefer that it's something that's not true. Again, I really want to implore you guys to call us here, 489-4781. And as I said, it's not a matter of calling me on the phone direct. You could also call a WhatsApp and call a WhatsApp number and see if you can You could always call us here, send a message, or or just call us through WhatsApp, because you can put that number on your WhatsApp call and call us. We know that you have been listening, because a lot of people have been telling me that I've been told that you guys have been listening to the program. You have been listening to the program, and I could see you are listening. Sometimes last week, by the time the middle of the program, we had already getting something like 600 views. So it means that you're already looking at the program. This is a program that people are looking at, people are looking forward to, and things like that. And I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you a lot. You understand? I'm appreciating you guys a lot, And I have been one who have standing up for people in St. Lucia, talking on their behalf in St. Lucia, talking on behalf of the vendors, talking on behalf of all kind of people in all different facets of the society. I've been talking about people and standing up for them. And I really appreciate the way you appreciate me. And you have been telling me how you love me. And I've met people all across the board in St. Lucia who have really shown me great respect and said how they have respect for me, and they tell me keep up the good works and do continue doing what I'm doing and so on. I was on a show with what they call the hot seat. I'm sure you all must have known that. And the lady who's the interviewer, she said to me, well, a lot of people think that you are using the vendors platform as a springboard into politics and so on, into national politics. And I said, well, if that's the case, if people think that I'm doing such a wonderful job, a phenomenal job at, and so on, to be, a stupendous kind of job in trying to do what is correct in terms of representing the vendors and so on and so forth, then so be it. I think it's a promotion. I think it's something where they are actually, giving me, they're appreciating me, and they're showing, regard, great regard for me in that area. That I think so. I think that they actually are promoting me and appreciating my response, my contribution in that regard. And I say thanks for those who think that way, who think that, that I'm doing a wonderful job and that I could move on to the national level in terms of politics. It's a compliment. It's a wonderful compliment, and I really appreciate it for you all to be thinking of me in that vein, in that light, and so on. I just want to continue saying that 489-4781 is the number here for you to call, and you can continue calling me and say something, talk to me about what the events have been for the day in St. Lucia. St. Lucia is the country of ours. We have been experiencing some serious problems of crime, not able to get resolved. People who are going to court, not able to get solutions to their problems. Cases are running, concurrently, just running, and nothing happening. People are going to prison. Recidivism is something that is rife in the country. But the other thing is, people are not seeing their cases resolved. People who are in prison, supposed to be out, are in prison, and so those who are supposed to be in are out. How our prison system are clogged, like a clogged train, and that there are some people that need to get out and some people that need to get in, but we can't get that happen. So we are there spinning top in mud. So I would prefer to know that we can find solutions, we can find ways to solve some of the problems that are affecting all of us here in St. Lucia. One of the things that are on my mind and I'm worried about is the whole question of the crime that is really, affecting this little country. We have very small population, but we have a high population of crime. And the other problem about crime is the unresolved criminal activities, the unresolved crime, the unresolved situations of crime. And magistrate and judges and everybody else. I mean, sometimes you go to court and, you know, the way they deal with matters, the way they seems to be at a slow pace in dealing with matters, a snail pace dealing with matters. You wonder if these people really know, you know, that how the backlog of criminal of cases that are there, how they need to expedite the whole process, and that is not happening. All these things are situations that you know, we need to, you know, be concerned about in this little country. We need to take these things in our mind and ask ourselves, how are we going to be able to solve and resolve some of these problems, these crime problems in our country? All the murders that are unresolved, all the people who have committed murder, and they are out there. That's the problem. They are out there. They are out there in your face. You may not even know they're out there. Some people talk about nosy neighbors and so. I love knowing nosy neighbors, because they might tell you who came by your house or who didn't come by your house. But the other thing is that people are not forthcoming in terms of giving information about criminals and criminal activity, especially these very serious crimes dealing with murder and so on. People don't come out and give information about these things. They don't. And sometimes you wonder why. But why is because they are not protected. They have nothing to protect them if they give information to the police. The other problem is some people believe if they give police information, the information will find itself in the hands of the perpetrators, the criminals. How could that be something that would create confidence in the police force, in our judiciary system, in our judicial system? It's not going to work. People must feel safe that they could give police information, and this information is a guaranteed proper information that is given to someone that you are confident in. If you're going to give this information to a police officer and tomorrow morning somebody is targeting you to kill you, somebody is passing and saying you're giving information, and then you are they have a name calling these things, these names they use. You are I'm trying to find out the name these guys normally use when people give information on them. You understand what I mean? A snitch. You are a snitch. So you are in the ghetto and people consider you to be a snitch. Your life is in danger. The moment some little ghetto fellas start thinking that you are a snitch, your life is in danger. You are in plenty problems. So, these are the kind of things that we need to be concerned about in this little country of ours, St. Lucia. This is the kind of things that we need to take serious cognizance of. Sometimes it's not that easy to just sit there and think, well, how could we solve this problem? It's not that easy. I'm not saying politicians could just solve it overnight, because it's not something that happened just the other day and could be easily resolved. But just recently, I'm understanding that how the amount of murders this year it's in comparison to the same amount of murders last year. So that is 41 or 42%, 42 murders. I'm not sure, so I just want to say either 41 or 42. And it is said that at the same time last year, the same date, the same every time, we had the same amount of murders or homicide last year as we have this year. The same time and frame of time and so on and so forth. Doesn't that send a signal to us and tell us where we are? And last year we had one of the highest murder rates in our history. And if we just 8 months within the year, we have about 4 more months to go, and we are already 40 odd compared to last year. And last year was a record year. Where are we going now? And sometimes what really hurt me is what the Prime Minister does say sometimes. well, he come and meet crime there. Crime is not something that, as if it's them that caused it. That's not the problem we want. That's not what we want to hear. Mr. Prime Minister, we're not saying you are the one who caused the crime. What we're saying is that you are the government now. You promise you will do better. You are Prime Minister in waiting and you will solve most of the problems Alan Chasney could not have solved. I'm not that I'm saying we need Alan Chasney again back and all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you were the one who gave us the assurance that you're going to solve these problems. And up to now, you have not able to solve none of them. A lot of the problems have been experienced from since UWPs and SLPs from way back when, including St. Jude's. You're there reading things in the house and showing how much millions are spent there and millions are spent there. What about your tenure? The time when you and Kenny Anthony and them and Kenny Anthony was your boss. How much millions you all spent on St. Jude's? And up to now we don't have a hospital. You had this guy with some turban or he's a Hindu or something. Used to get how much $1,000 every month? Over $40,000 or more, I understood, when you all was in office. So it's neither here nor there, whether it's Flambeau or Labour or whosoever. The reality about it is, you all have not been doing a good job in providing us with a proper healthcare system. And it's not a matter of building buildings, because you build the OKEU was given to us by the European Union. We move people from the Victoria Hospital into the OKEU. Has that changed anything? Has that made us have a better health institution? No. Has that given us better health care? Less time waiting to get proper health care? Most of the time, sometimes you have to go to an outside lab to get some kind of, get a scan or get an X-ray or something. We have equipment there, but they're not working. Who's preventing them from working properly? Whose fault is that they're not working properly and efficiently? So then we have to resort to going to outside labs and so on to get medical attention or medical treatment, to get health or to get X-rays done or CT scans and other kind of scans. If it's not your concern, whose concern it will be? If it's not your concern to know that we have a society that is running properly, if you don't concern about corruption, if you're not concerned about people who have to declare their asset in government, it's not your concern. And I remember the guy I was looking for, his name was Griffith, pastor or Bishop Griffith, I'm not sure. He was the ombudsman or the man responsible for the Integrity Commission. Something Griffiths, I'm not remember his name. Anybody could call me and tell me his name. What have he done? He gave a deadline at the time of Chasney for everybody to declare their assets and so on. Did that happen, Griffith? And if that didn't happen, who's the ombudsman now? Who's responsible for making sure that these parliamentarian people, especially some of the senators who was palavering and talking about crime, and a lady that was close to them in the Labour Party and how she was involved, how they kill her, and they cherry picking about her and so on. Have these people declared their assets in the Integrity Commission? And these people were, talking as if to say, because they didn't take a stand all the time. Young girls getting killed. There was a girl they found at the bottom of the Mon Road. She went out and to have a good time or wherever with her friends or whatever, and she was disappeared. They flushed out her life just like that. Up to today, the parents cannot get closure for her life that was taken away from her. The two ladies in Salty Bus, they're like, I didn't see none of y'all. I didn't hear anything from Catherine Seeley or none of y'all. Once you all get your nice little jobs, only when it hit home, when someone who is close to you all have involved or are victims of the circumstances that we're experiencing in the country now, that's when you all decide to want to talk and bring in a show on TV and how we feel it. And I could see some of you all not real. When I look at this lady from Swazi, she was trying to play like she wanted to be emotional, but finally she started to play a half smile. And all. You're just not real. And you're talking about, when you look at that one, the way that one was talking about, the way this one was talking about. Come on. You're all a set of hypocrites. That just doesn't make no sense to me. The reality about it is, the problem we have in St. Lucia, it takes more than that. It takes where we take a stand collectively. You all didn't even give any kind of solution to the problem. You all didn't even make a suggestion as to what should happen to resolve problems of crime. Nothing like that you all said. You all talk like, some people just have set up platitudes and set of innuendos and just making comments out there and just talking blah blah blah. Nobody talks anything that make any serious sense to me, in the sense of what are we going to do to resolve the crime problem in the country? How are we going to get guns off the street? How are we going to prevent guns from coming into the country? Guns are coming through the legal, illegal and other channels. How are we going to stop that from happening? Philip JPA have no answers. The Commissioner of Police said he has none. They brought the RSS and the RSS said they can't do nothing about it, neither it seems, because based on what the Commissioner of Police said, RSS can't help. So how are we going to resolve these problems of crime in the country? How are we going to make sure or ensure that we have the safety of the citizenry, which one of the things that I think is paramount to our country is the security of citizenry of the country. Electricity is a right for everyone to have. When are we going to see to it that Lucilec stop saying they're not giving people light because the land doesn't belong to them and all this stupidness? When we will stop Wasco from saying because the land is not your land, and you have a house, but it's not your land, you cannot get water. Why is that something that's an issue? Education must be a must. No child should go without their school books and have proper educational facilities to educate themselves properly. Why do we have to have a situation where, because some parents cannot buy books, their children go to school without books? That's not supposed to be right. If we cannot provide them with books in the school physically, give them e-books, books on their phone. Make sure the internet is available to them. In the internet now is not a privilege, it's a right for every child to have internet. That's why people are saying to me, I support you when I said our vendors must move up. We must get into the whole digital economic or digital global economy, where the vendors have to start getting machines and so on to make sure, or to ensure that they take advantage of people who are coming with plastic and so on to process them and get monies from them when they want to purchase items. In the same way, when people go to the provision market, this whole question of law and selling by the law and all them things, there must be something outdated. That day people can come, take one dashin, put on the scale and tell them how much it costs. If a pound of dashin or a kilo of dashin is 7 cents or 30 cents or 40 cents or 50 cents or $1.20 for a kilo of dashin. So half of a kilo is 90 cents if a kilo is $101.50. I'm just saying that just to make sure and to ensure people understand what I'm trying to say. That means if a kilo of dashin, because dashin are very heavy. So if a kilo of dashing is $2 or $3. So someone want a little dashing that's less than that, they could pay $1.50 and go home with the dashing if they want to. If yams have a price on them, there's a price tag on yam. Yam is $4 a kilo. So you take, you take a pound. A pound is $2 or $2 a pound is $2 and something or whatever. But this is the point we need to reach. This is where we need to go. We need to bring our people forward, and this is where I want to go with the vendors and so on. Yes, good evening.
Greetings, Ras IPA.
Greetings, my sister. How are you doing?
I am good, and what about you?
Not bad, fine, thank you. And how are you doing, my dear?
Okay, I'm good, thank you. I'm late to class, but I'm happy to be here, and I caught a little bit of what you were saying.
Thank you very much.
Do you have anything in general speaking about Ras IPA?
No, I was just speaking about a number of things that affect St. Lucia generally in terms of what is going on in the country. One of the things that really caught my attention was the whole question of the pass-through mechanism, which was, as far as I understood, it was due on the 8th, the 8th of this month, and the government allowed it to lapse, and they brought it out this weekend, I think, and then we heard about it on Monday. But we did not benefit from it because right now, because the price of gas have come down to where it was in the 90s, the 1990s, to $88 and $88.3 US dollars per barrel. And then we are hearing now the government did not decrease the cost of petroleum products in any kind of substantial way, such as the price of the $20, the 20-pound cylinder remains the same, and other things remain the same, diesel and so on. Apart from the 100-pound cylinder alone that went down, even kerosene oil went up. So we are asking, why is that? Because I think that we're supposed to benefit from the consumers, supposed to benefit from the lower, by $100 lower of the price of petroleum products on the international market.
Well, Brother IPA, somebody like you should know very well what type of government we are actually dealing with. I mean, when you're dealing with a set of people who only lead from a certain angle, what do you expect? You're dealing with a socialist regime, Brother IPA. You know that better than anybody else. I mean, there are so many things that are going on in this country that one could speak about, Yeah. But then at the end of the day, where do you start? You've come up with so many different issues, so many things that are bothering the people of St. Lucia. But at the end of the day, how many people have the guts and the courage to come out and speak up and speak out? We can sit around and we can talk about all these things that are affecting us. But then again, Brother IPA, who is willing to come out and do something about it as a people? Remember, there was a time, they are saying it takes a village to raise a child. Just look around you. All of that is lost. Okay? We have a nation that fears its government. You have a nation that is being brainwashed by the media. We are now labeled a racist island. And as a people, we have developed a thirst for shallow information. And that is what's holding down the people of this country. And that is not just an island thing, that's a worldwide thing. All of a sudden, people now are, I don't know, they're just moving around like zombies. Nothing is affecting them. They do not care. So when you sit there, your hour and a half or 2 hours, you're hoping that, a lot of people will gravitate towards what you're saying and maybe start to speak up, listen, go out there, share their voice, their opinion, whatever it is. And then when you go home, you're saying to yourself, but you know what? It's like, why am I doing this thing? Why am I speaking to a nation that don't seem to be listening?
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that particular area there, because I think I brought it up sometime this week about racism. And maybe, who knows, because the Labour Party people seems to think that they want to continue talking about the lady who was killed in Swaziland, and they make it look as if it was something about targeting women, and I disagree with them, because everybody have been a victim of the violence that is going on in St. Lucia. Children, women, men, young boys, young girls, and so on and so forth, and all kind of people. But what I need to say to you is that when we listen to some of the rhetoric, especially from some individuals within the cabinet of ministers that have been very vociferous in talking about people and their complexion, especially how they refer to the kind of hatred they are spurring out there and against Alan Shastney and so on. It makes us believe now that are we entering entering an area where it seems that sooner or later our country may be blacklisted, in the sense that we are a kind of racist country and we are spewing a pile of racist kind of connotations and so on and so forth. And that is all because some people are behaving like, like the Arab terrorists, like who
brother
wants to bring
IPA,
a whole plane down because of one person they want to kill.
the St. Lucia Labour Party, not just speaking about a political party, but the mindset of its people. Because if you have a government or a leader that knows the people, they will govern them according to what they know about their people. The SLP have studied the people of St. Lucia, and they realize that the people of St. Lucia, I will not say everybody because it's not really good to generalize, but you know what I'm saying. They've realized that there's a percentage, and it's probably the majority. They're a gullible people that are like sponge. Anything you say, they will take it in. The St. Lucia Labour Party, they don't respect St. Lucians. They use St. Lucians. They use the fear of the people of this country to govern. They're using the slave story, whatever they claim say it's our history. They're using our history as a whip on our backs. Because if you constantly keep reminding a slave that he's a slave, she's a slave, you're gonna behave like a slave automatically. You walk like a duck, you quack like a duck, you're a duck. That is what is happening, that is taking place in this country.
But
St. Lucia, I will not say if you have to rate racist islands or countries. St. Lucia might be way down there on that scale, you understand? But when you have leaders who are using our history against their own people, you're playing Russian roulette. If you keep preaching racism, at some point, Brother IPA, it will manifest into a monster. If you create that monster, it will grow, it will come alive.
Because
you understand?
Paula, I couldn't even believe when Ernest Hilaire was addressing some gathering dealing with the whole emancipation thing, and at the moment that he was talking, at the same time there was a canoe that was passing at the same time behind him, and he responded that as if to say that is a part of the memory of slavery. Canoes are not memory of slavery, my girl. To tell you the truth,
but again, Brother
came from
IPA,
the Western and people came from South America and other places into the Caribbean.
You're dealing with a bunch of people who are using reverse psychology on the people that they lead. They're using everything as an opportunity to gain political points and to keep their base at bay. When they spoke about the lady who died, right? Who died in her house. Look at how they're marketing that situation.
She was killed. She was killed. You must say that she was killed.
Well, she was killed. Sorry, yeah. Right? Sorry. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
They're using that. They're using that as a way to say, okay, like you said earlier on, violence against women, but there is violence against men taking place.
Of course.
Why aren't they speaking about that? What about all the women, all the unsolved cases, the violence, women that have been tortured, raped, murdered, etc.? How many of them you see marching in the streets?
Correct.
But if somebody were to expose the nakedness to some woman, you would see them preaching helter-skelter everywhere like tea for me. But to move on from that, you see, we have become a nation of sutuers and malfaités. We love lies more than the truth. Toxic politics is destroying the people of this country. And I'm just gonna say to you, brother IPA, I'm gonna, allow somebody else to get the line. If you cannot change the mindset of your people, it's not the mind of the leaders you will change. St. Lucia has a lot of issues, a lot of issues. But at the end of the day, if we stay silent as a people, nothing will happen. You know your government become better leaders when they fear the people that they govern. But when it's the other way around, you become submissive sheep.
I believe
it's you become submissive sheep.
I agree with you, caller. I think the government's supposed to be able to, people who are in office are our servants. They're supposed to be afraid of when they do things, what could happen to them. What I have observed over the years, caller, is that we keep crying for corruption, but we do nothing about it. Before the whole question of direct award, I think that's how they call it, direct award for contracts and so on, was supposed to be something that whereby you get because it's of an exogenous situation that happened, and a bridge or something is about to go down, and you try to get the person that you think who has the expertise to deal with that as quickly as you possibly can. But now, if it's direct award, is like everyone is looking for a contract. This government has become a government of contracts, so everybody is looking for a contract. This is not anymore about trying to create employment.
You're saying exactly what it is. You're dealing with a socialist regime, brother IPA, and you know that. They're not just a government of contracts. They're a government that cannot lead. They don't have a vision. When you don't have a vision, you use whatever it is that is in front of you, to lead. They're complaining that people don't eat roads, but how many of them you see driving a donkey cart or a horse cart?
But didn't I told
they complain that people don't eat?
That I took a bus and coming down the road, and the driver passed into a marshal, and the driver was like, "My God, what a state that the road is in, and it's the road of the Prime Minister constituency."
So why don't they strike as drivers? Solution to the problem. We're not driving on that road anymore.
This is the thing about
that is how you deal with things. Reverse psychology. It's not good. You stop using it.
You are on the spot, caller. We tend to be too.
You understand?
Too passionate.
If we have a hospital that is not good, I mean, people might suffer and whatever, but sometimes a few have to die in order to send a message to some people out there. That is just the harsh reality about humans. They love to learn things the hard way.
We need to take stance, and I agree with you 100%. When we don't
anyway, my brother,
when we don't stand up for things, caller, when we allow things to fester, and we don't stand up, we allow the evil to flourish in our country, and that's the wrong thing.
I'm gonna leave you with this. We watch movies, TV series, contents that are filled with meaningless nonsense, things that just, full of sex, violence, drama, all kind of things. The content not making any sense. Then we have to ask ourselves, are we an unattached people? Are we unattached to reality? Why is society so toxic? These are the kind of conversations we need to have with ourselves, our children, our grandparents, and all those that are still there. IPA, we're in this thing together, believe it or not. If the ship is sinking, brother IPA, you're gonna look for maybe the life jacket or whatever it is, or the dinghy or something to save yourself. When you look at these movies and whatever, when the ship is sinking, the captain goes last, right? But half of the time, the captain is the first one out. It's not supposed to be so. So tout le monde garde pour koyo. But these are the conversations we need to have. You keep doing what you're doing, my brother, and congratulations on still being the president of the Vendors Association as well.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your call, and I appreciate your encouragement from me in terms of everything that you have said. And I want you to be a tower of strength for others to move forward. We want organizations in St. Lucia that are formidable. They are become institutions that we can rely on. It's too often that we have organizations that are run by certain individuals and a few cliques. We really want organizations that are run because they are serious, really institutions that represent what an institution really is supposed to be like. And this must involve even the United Workers' Party and any other institution in St. Lucia. Our country cannot be governed, by a set of people, by the whims and fancy. People must not be bought, to exercise the franchise, whether within a political party or whether within the national election. People must realize that, it's important for the future of the children, the younger generation. I said something the other day and I said, listen, I don't think that we should go around and allow our country to be run like the way we thought it used to run before, like it takes a village to run a child. I think right now it takes the government to take responsibility and see the children as the asset of the state and give them the kind of strength they need for them to move forward, and give them the kind of support for the parents to be able to maintain them, and that any individual should not go to jail or whatever because they are not able to look after their children. Are you still there, caller? Hello, good night.
Yes, good night, IPA.
How are you doing, sir?
Oh, good. How are you doing yourself?
Not too bad, fine, thank you.
Yeah, IPA, you had a caller, the previous caller there. And I think there are certain things we have to be careful what we see, okay? Because it can give the wrong impression. I mean, how could a lady say something about going on strike in the hospital? I mean, yes, you can have issues with the government, and everybody has a right to disagree with policy and stuff. But to go to the extent where you can essentially push a message that people in the hospital should go on strike if, things are not functioning well in the hospital. I mean, what are we doing? It could be our relative there, relatives in the hospital. So when you go on strike, you let people die? Is that the solution we want to give?
Are you saying that when people strike in the prison, it's not going to affect the prisoners?
Nobody said it won't affect, but I said to you, the prisoners, the people who strike, there are things that you can do, all right, to maybe feed the prisoners for one day or whatever, how many days you can do. I'm talking about sick people that need attention. We're talking about people striking. It's likely that if they strike, people are going to die. I mean, what kind of things are we preaching in St. Lucia? You understand? This is beyond the pale. You understand?
So you're saying nurses must not go on strike?
No, I didn't say that, nurses. All I'm saying to you is that when you go out there, you have to be careful what you say. There's nothing wrong in criticizing governments. That is a democracy. We all have the right to criticize. But there are things that go beyond the pale. And encouraging people in a hospital to go on strike because the hospital is not meeting the conditions. And the person sounds like someone who, for 5 years, the last government was there and they never said anything. They never raised a finger about what was going in the hospital. All of a sudden, in a year, you want to talk about striking, in our hospitals. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Okay, when all the facts are brought to bear,
caller, while I agree with you, but the point you made there, caller, about in a year and whatever, I don't ascribe to that. I'm saying when you employ people to do a job, they need to do the job properly. Now, I understand your concern about people may die and so on in terms of striking in a hospital, and that is something something people like you, I understand how you think about that. You are a person who is in a particular organization that deal a lot with people, and I could understand what you're saying there. But it have happened before, and it's not going to be in St. Lucia alone, where people who work within the health system have taken decisions in terms of standing up for particular reasons. Now, I'm not saying people should do it because they're hoping that someone will die as a result. Because I remember some time ago, a good friend of mine, passed away as a result of the people in the dialysis area took a stand at the time and the strike, and he was to get his dialysis, whatever process. I don't know how to say it, but I can't remember exactly how you would say it. You might probably know better than me in that regard. And he died. And so I'm understanding what you're trying to say, where people would lose their life as a result of certain stands people take. And then it happened even in war. They have a kind of thing they call casualty or whatever you call it. But I am saying I hope that the way you took the lady, that you don't take it that she was saying people must go on strike deliberately for people to die. Although she mentioned something about people will die and sometimes that's the price we have to pay. But I hope you don't say that people who's working in the hospital should not take a stand because some people may die.
No, let me explain something to you. There's in societies, okay, there are things that you just don't see. You understand? Yeah. Obviously, there's a process for dealing with issues like that in a hospital. It is more sensitive. It is not like the ordinary run of the mill thing. Even a prison, you understand, the ways can be found, but you're dealing with people who are who if they don't get proper care, maybe for a few hours, they may die. So why would you want to encourage anybody, to strike? That's the point I'm making. That you don't use that term. What I'm saying to you, you can say, of course, if you have issues, there's a way to resolve it. But the kind of flippant way, the caller said that, and you agreed with them. I mean, that is not sending a good message across, IPA.
Why you say that I agreed with the caller? I listened to the caller.
Yes, I heard you. You said you agreed with everything she said. IPA, I heard you. Okay? I heard you. You said you agree with everything she said. Okay?
Okay.
Right, so I'm just saying to you, just be a little careful. I mean, sometimes in the spur of the moment, we say things. There's nothing wrong in that. All I'm saying, we have to be careful. That's all I'm saying. Okay? And by the way, the talking about the Marshall Road, the Prime Minister, they have announced that road will be fixed shortly. Okay? The Marshall Road is going to be fixed shortly. I mean,
what a nice one that you're friend there. What happened? You are the public relations officer there?
No, but I heard it. So I'm just saying, okay, look, the road from the Rosalie Gap to Cap is going to be fixed as well. All right, the contract has been given. So I mean, folks, I mean, people, all of us, I mean, IPA, all right. I have lived in this country for over 60 years. I've been through thick and thin, okay. But I just find what's going on here now generally is bordering on the ridiculous.
You say that
situation, and I'll tell you why. No, let me explain why to you. We have been in a situation with COVID, okay. The country, everybody, we lost what? We went down to our country, right, went down by 20.7%, okay, negative growth, right? I mean, you just wave a magic wand and all of a sudden, everything is fixed and everything is rosy.
But caller, the only thing I want to say about that is that while I'm agreeing with you, what you're saying, no magic thing cannot be waved. But when the former administration was there, if you heard the kind of rhetoric that was being, spewed out there, I mean, people was like, as if everything was being done in a bad way, everything was being done discriminating against people, the SOE, the SOEs that was in place, and people complain. I heard some people talk about how, they have rights too, and the rights for them to go and eat with the grandmother or the grand auntie on a Easter Sunday. They really gave the former administration a real hard time.
Yeah, but you were dealing with a number of things, Anthony. You're dealing with conspiracy theories, all this stuff. I heard you about and being anti the vaccine. You understand?
I never anti-vaccine.
Right?
So you're wrong about that.
No.
I said I am not going to take the vaccine. I never take any stand against vaccine.
But you were publicly stating your allegiance to a group that said that the vaccine was not good and was going to kill people and all sorts of things like that.
That's not true. I want to be fair with you. I'm nobody in St. Lucia.
Anyway,
caller. Let's
get
that clear. I have said that I'm not going to take the vaccine, but I've never taken any stand against the vaccine or prevent people. Imagine I made statements, caller, encouraging people to go to areas where they were giving clinics and workshops, and I announced about the vaccines and so on and so forth. I went and I encourage my vendors to go to workshops, and I said to the people and them at the ministries that I'm not going to take the responsibility to tell people to take or don't take vaccine, but it's going to be up to them. I told them, put it on a document and say to them whether they are vaccinated or no vaccinated. I never in St. Lucia, and if anyone could go back and see and go back to the tips, if you get a tip from any media person and to say that IPA said don't take vaccine, I
never said. I said you were associated and publicly. I didn't say that you said anything. I said you were associated publicly for a group that went around
where people had gatherings. So you're telling me if I go in a place where I have a gathering and people were talking all different things, just because I was there, I agree with everything everybody was saying. So when you say to me,
you were part of the group, you were on a stage with the leadership.
Hold on. If you're saying to me that if you go somewhere, a political platform, everything that people say on that political platform, you would agree with?
IPA. Okay.
No, I'm asking you a question. I want you to answer.
No. I mean, what I'm saying,
because sometimes people will say things.
You're spitting hairs.
People, now listen. What I'm saying to you is that if I go somewhere and there's a gathering there, and I'm in the gathering, and people say things, look at that. I don't smoke marijuana, and I would be a place where people talking about smoking marijuana is something good, but I don't smoke marijuana. So technically, you would say because I was there, I support smoking marijuana.
Anyway, let's move on. Okay, because that's not okay. I mean, we can argue that from that, but the point I was making to you is that the country was going through all of these things. You had people spending a lot of misinformation. There was all sorts of things going on, right? So it was not, a lot of it was not necessarily anti-government in terms of politics.
Hold on. It was anti-government. It was like, let me tell you, it was so much anti-government that when hold on there, that when the administration came into office, first thing they start doing, expunging this and making it look like people who was charged for offenses and breaking rules and laws, and people who were defiant and they immediately expunged. It shows that what the former administration was doing, the former opposition was doing, was against what the former administration was doing. That shows that.
Sorry, you lost me there. But anyway, the point I was making is that there were a lot of other forces which were not necessarily political that was creating problems in the country about the vaccine. Okay, and all these other things. There were a lot of things that were being said all over the place, right?
But people were blaming the former administration as if they were just doing these things and they were infringing on people's rights and freedom and democratic rights and so on.
There was a whole movement. There was a whole thing all over. I was fighting that all the time on WhatsApp, on Facebook.
But I didn't hear you saying anything about it.
I'm just telling you. No. On Facebook about being anti-vaccine and the government was singing their rights. And a lot of it had nothing to do with the politics per se. I'm telling you. Up to now, there are people who still upset about both governments, both this government, the last government, and this one, because somebody had nothing to do with the politics of the day, right? But the problem that the last government faced was that the very prime minister who was sitting there making laws, that's Alan Shastney, was breaking the very protocols that he himself and his ministers passed. Okay? And there are several examples of that. So what are you doing? You cannot be the leader of a nation. So what you say, the guys
and them who came in here now, the guys went and have parties and so on. He learned them and all of them went and have parties.
No. Hold on. Let's not conflate issues. I'm talking about the time you're speaking about. I said to you that the very same Alan Shastney walked around without mask and they broke the very rules that they themselves in cabinet passed. So why is your bother for you to talk to anybody about anything? You've lost it. You understand? They lost it. So when you do that, you have to take the blows.
My brethren, look at what happened.
These are facts. I have the facts there,
We had mass in St. Lucia. We had mass. At one time, we were talking about having mass with, wait name again? We had Vax mass. We quickly changed that.
Let's deal with one issue at a time, man. Let's pose an issue. I said to you, the government of the day went around doing things. They passed laws, and they themselves, the ministers, including the prime minister, broke it. You understand? They arrested a few policemen for going to a river line. Okay? Because they said they break the laws. And the prime minister did the same thing. I called for them to arrest him too. You understand? Nobody took me on. Nobody wanted to do it. But that was the right thing to do. He should be arrested the same way. Because the law is supposed to be equal for everybody. right? The commissioner of police came out and said how his men were whatever, and they were taken down and whatever, right? And they were breaking the law as well. So you cannot pass a law as a prime minister or cabinet or whatever, and you yourself break it.
Would you say the law now that was established by the SLP with the whole question of the what do you call it, the Integrity Commission, no one has really declared that they have declared the assets with the Integrity Commission. Would you say they all broke the law now so far?
Well, yeah, but honestly, I mean, if you're going to say that, you have to come with evidence, because I know for a fact that, that I know Kenny Anthony, when he was there, he insisted that all the ministers.
I'm talking about this right here now. This present administration.
Hold on, man. They all insisted that they had to, right, declare their assets. They had
and
to
did that happen?
And do the penal law. Now, I said to you, as far as I'm aware, I never heard, from what I heard, that there was not an SLP minister at the time who did not complete their forms.
You're talking about what you heard. I'm asking about what you know.
But I cannot. I'm not part of the Integrity Commission.
Is it
now,
a fact?
I said to you, right
now. Caller, is it a fact that you know these people paid? And
but I said to you, right, that I never heard any member of the Integrity Commission, or even when it was published, right, because they published it, that any member of the Labour Party had not submitted the forms.
The member of the Labour Party. All of a sudden, no member of the Labour Party have not submitted
I said the cabinet. The cabinet. Sorry,
no
the cabinet of ministers.
There have never been no history of that in St. Lucia. That everybody just adhere, to that.
No, hold on. They all filled out their forms. I did not say that they were 100% in compliance. Probably there were one or two things missing, and these are things that the committee is supposed to follow up on. But I know every single member had completed their forms and sent them in. As to whether there were little things that they were missing, and so these things happen, right?
Missing.
Okay, and the Integrity Commission is there to.
Would you say what these things missing would be like, caller?
No, I don't know. I come on, man. I'm not a member of the Integrity Commission. You want me to say things I don't know? And I'm
but what you want to try to defend people you don't know nothing about?
No, but I said to you, I saw the listings in the Gazette about who was missing what. I wish I had held on to that. Okay, but let me explain something to you. Okay, we are not. Let me tell you something. We are a country must realize we came from COVID, right? With a minus something % growth in the economy. Right, it will take time for us to all over the world. Inflation is affecting people all over the world. Countries have experienced economic decline, and it's going to take a while for things to get back to normal.
Hold
on. Let me finish. If the government is wasting money on projects or doing things that they should not be doing, by all means criticize them. That is fair.
They are wasting money. Look at, for example, caller. We had a situation where people talk about the K9 unit, that's what they call it, $40,000. They said there was too much money to spend on that project. But they're going to spend whatever millions into Carnival. We have endless things we need to do in terms of fighting crime in the country.
So what you should say, but it's the same thing about balancing the society. You see, I don't know where you are getting these things from, Okay. A society is not run by saying, well, so don't fix the roads then. Do the hospital, forget about all the roads, forget about maintaining everything.
But the roads are not fixing anyhow right now.
The hospital.
The roads are not fixing.
No, that's what you're telling me.
But that's the point. The former administration, the present administration now, was talking about how the former administration we wasn't eating roads and they were just fixing roads. And now you're talking about roads now.
I put context, okay? When that happened, there was monies given to St. Lucians, given to the country to give to the people. Right, and they use it to
no. That one is hogwash. That one is hogwash. That is hogwash. No.
I have the evidence.
Peter, I will not allow you to get away with this one. No country would give you $30-something million to just give people. That's not true. You're wrong. Let me tell you why you're wrong. A country is going to give you $40 million with some kind of a very low interest rate just to give people. Where does that in the world? That's not true.
I never
the government have to find a way to create employment with that money.
I never said that.
But that's what you said there.
I said to you,
give money to people.
That the government got loans and grants from income, some of it from the World Bank, the CDB, the IMF.
It wasn't to
Everybody
just give
came in
people.
and gave. Hold on, and they gave money for income support.
Well, I got
And
some too.
Not hold on. They gave money for income support, and I will get the information for you.
Which
and I
money
will
they
give
give
it
for
to you.
income
No.
support?
I will give you the information and the tips, including.
I have the information, my brethren.
Right?
I was
Their
saying
monies were
it
given
said
for
a
income
number
support.
of things,
So what you saying me?
including
None of these groups,
John,
none of these people get money for income support.
Peter, it said a number of things, including income support.
Right,
It talked about
good,
strengthening
good.
the
No, hold
economical
on.
this,
Okay, good. So we
strengthening
agree
the
on
work
that, right?
network, and so on, and strengthening
So
a
we agree
number
on
of
that.
areas, including income support, and the government gave income support. So what you're
Wait.
saying there, Peter,
How
you
much
seem to
income
be
support
making
they
it look
gave?
as if
How much money?
a
No,
country
okay.
would give you 30 million US dollars, which is about 80 million US dollars, just to go and say people come in the boulevard and OPS you're giving people money. That's not true.
But why are you going in for all of that? I said to you that they were given money for income support, and what they give was minimal income support to the people of this country.
So you're telling me when somebody get a job, Peter,
No. I said to you,
when the
they
government establish a project, and in that project, people work in and get money to feed their family, that's not income support?
IPA.
I'm asking you a question, answer me.
The guy Joseph said they're not giving the people money. He said it.
But he was right. Why you just giving people money just like that?
But why not?
How this
But
money
they
will
give it to
go
you to give it to them.
into good use if you just giving
But
people
they give
money?
it to you to give it to them. Why you?
That's
you
not
want to do what you
true.
want?
Don't give people that impression, Peter. You're wrong. They didn't give
No,
nobody
I'm
no
not
money
wrong.
to give
I am not
nobody.
wrong.
They
I
gave
am not
money
wrong.
for the
You-
government
you-
to use the
you
money
either didn't
to
understand or you
create
mixed up the
projects and to create things in the country so people could benefit.
IPA, the guys had a
You're
road
wrong,
built
Ashley.
there.
You're wrong. You're
Let me explain something to you.
1,000% wrong on that.
Okay, hold on. That road, that piece of road they did there in front of Rodney B, right? Okay, you know how many people were working on it?
And the Labour Party come and stop the
I
project.
went there checking, and there were a dozen people on the road, and the government had given $16 million project, and a dozen people on the road working. So how does that help the economy?
So you counted people that was working there.
Of course I did. On more than one occasion. I
And so you
I
find
checked them.
firing these people, firing them and sending them home was a good thing.
No, but I'm just saying, $16 million, and you have 16 people working on the road over a prolonged period of time.
I'm not sure if
what
you're saying is true.
How is that helping the economy?
I have no proof and to say what you say.
What do you mean you have no proof? But I told you I went to check it myself. I'm not a
How
madman,
you would check it?
I do
If you
not
pass
come
on the road and you see people, that's how you know how many people
I do
working
not
there.
come on. I do not speak if I do have facts. I
don't
my
always think so,
myself.
Peter.
I checked
don't
them
think
myself.
so
that's why I can tell you that. Okay, I can tell you that because I went to check it myself.
I don't
because
think
that whole road, the whole road was done under a cloud.
Peter,
right?
One thing
under
I'm
a serious
gonna tell
cloud. That whole thing.
No government is just going to give you money to give people.
No,
That's
I
not
tell
going to happen.
if the people
It's wrong.
give you money for that, you are supposed to give it
How
to the
you
people.
know? Because I saw the communique and it was nothing about giving people money.
I
All right,
said
what
to you-
about Philip JPA now, who said he's going to double it, he's going to triple it? So didn't he know that he would not have money to triple it or triple it or whatever? And now he's saying he didn't say that and he didn't, and he
That's not true. Again, that's misinformation.
So he didn't say that.
The man came at the time I was there when he said so.
What he said?
If they were in office at the time, if they were in office
stop
then,
that hogwash.
so do not try.
Stop that hogwash, Peter.
No,
So you're telling me if I was a woman out there, you're trying to what's the word when you trying to think a woman? How do you call it again? I forget. Anyway, you was trying to get me as a woman. You're a woman out there you're trying to get, and you tell her that if she was with you, you would have given her a television, a smart TV, where the man she's with is not giving her. When she left the man to come to you, you say it's because when she was with the man, you promised her that TV. Peter, give me a break, man.
I thought that is not a good analogy.
So what's a good analogy?
You see what you're doing there? It's misinformation.
Well, what you're saying there is misinformation. Philip JPS said he would triple it. He said, I would triple it. I would ensure. He said, he used the word. Philip JPS said, I would ensure. He said, I will ensure. Head would do it. Ensure. I would ensure. You would ensure. and then
But
you never
context,
come up with a
IPA,
sentence until
context.
you come and tell
No,
me.
but IPA, you see, you want to believe what you want to believe.
And you want to believe what you want to
these are the
believe as
facts.
well.
The fact is, the man said if he was the prime minister at the time.
What do you mean by that? I don't understand
What do
you.
you mean by that? If he was the prime minister, you can't understand simple English.
I don't understand that simple English. You know why I don't understand it? If you was the prime minister, what you would do? Now you are the prime minister. What are you doing?
Whatever
You are the prime minister now. What are you doing? So you mean to tell me if I have my brother or my sister or my cousin that told me if they're in a position, if they were in a particular position, they would make me get a job. And when they get in the position, you can't give me a job?
Okay.
That's what you say?
You come in like the Trump supporters.
That's why you see you are anti-Trump person.
No,
I don't give a
no, I
hell
believe the truth
about
alone.
Trump. I don't care about
the
Trump.
fact is,
I'm not bringing
the Prime
Trump.
Minister-
You see you and your
the-
Trump thing, don't bring it in St. Lucia.
No,
Leave Trump thing up
Yes,
there.
yes,
Trump
very-
is an
very
American. That's
clear.
American politics.
Right.
We're
He
dealing with
said-
St. Lucia politics. This Trump thing you're talking about, I don't deal with Trump. I don't even like Trump.
I didn't say you were Trump. I said you behaving. That's how you.
Don't tell me
behave.
that about behaving like Trump, Peter. What you're doing there is
but
not
you
right.
spreading misinformation. The man never said so. The man said if he was prime minister at the time.
That's why if
what
you're
you
trying
done.
to say to
Why
me
you wanna
that
take
what
it
the
and
man
twist it?
said doesn't
But you
say
twisted
that
it,
if he
I
was
know.
prime minister he
That
would
is
do
not
it,
fair.
and now he's
That is
prime
not
minister he
right.
can't do it.
What
Now
you
he's
doing
prime
is not
minister
right,
he
it's not
can't do
fair.
it. So
Right?
Peter,
That's misinformation.
Peter, let me ask you a question. If you had a brother who told you that if he have a position because you are qualified
goodness.
to be, let us for example, be the minister of finance. And he told you if he was in government, he would give you the job to be
I said
director
at
of
the time,
finance.
at the
When
time,
he
but you
comes
didn't
to be the
point.
prime minister of the country, he doesn't
Oh
make
my
it prime
goodness.
minister
I
of
thought you're
finance.
going on that. You're going up on a tangent. The man said at the time. That's
Mashi.
You
That's
misunderstanding, you know.
Well, you know something? You know something, Peter?
That is typical UWP
Now,
propaganda.
you
That's what
see,
it
you
is.
see where you're going?
Right,
You see where you're
but
going?
it's a
You see where you're going?
fact.
Again, you have a
Because the man
conversation,
said
but you're talking
at
about
the time.
UWP
Why
and
you want
SLP.
to- okay,
Let
why
me
don't
tell you
you want to give
something.
me the fact that I said at the time?
Peter, don't brand
No,
me.
man, don't do
I'm
that,
not
man,
branding
Ipo.
you.
Don't
I'm
try that
talking
on
to
me.
you.
Don't try
You
that on
want
me.
to brand me or
No,
UWP.
that is
When y'all
misinformation.
cannot
That
deal
is
with
not
the
true.
argument, y'all
Okay?
cannot
That
deal
is
with the issue.
deliberately-
Y'all want to
that is
brand people.
deliberately-
That's
No, no,
wrong.
you-
What you're doing
you
is
take-
wrong. You're trying to
No, no,
brand
you
people
take
because you
something out
cannot
of
deal with the
context
argument.
to
You
make
cannot
score
deal with
political
them
points.
personally based on the issue. So you want to brand them now. Oh, UWPs, Trump,
but
and
you-
so
but
on. You are
no, but you're taking
anti-Trumper. That's your
something-
business. You
No,
are
no, no.
anti
You're taking something out of
UWP. That's your
context.
business. But don't brand people because you cannot get along
No,
with them
but
how
that's
you
what
want
they're
to.
doing.
You want
I
them
heard
to
them all the
believe
time on
in
Teams
your
talking nonsense.
the things where you're
But
spewing.
and he's
You want to
to team
continue
independent.
spewing it, but don't
He
spew
defended-
it
no, no, he
on the
defended to team
account
independent.
of trying to call people names, Peter. That's not right. You're wrong.
But I said to you, you are doing like them, and that is.
Don't tell me what I'm doing like I'm doing like me.
No,
I'm
because
me.
you are
I'm
taking-
hyper.
you
Deal
are
with me
taking
like
it
me.
out of
That's what you know.
context
You see
to
where
score
you're
political
wrong
points against the
because
government. That's what you're
up to
doing.
now you have
I'm
been
not afraid to
talking.
say
You have
so.
been talking to me.
And I'm not afraid to say so,
Peter.
That's what you're doing.
Peter,
And that's
hold
not
on.
right.
Peter, hold on. Peter, hold on. I have not branded you as nothing. I've not branded you as
You have to
SLP
brand
or
me, but
nothing.
I speak the truth.
No, you don't choose no truth. You're
But
just
you cannot-
speaking.
you cannot
You're talking.
deny that the man
You're
said at
spewing
the
your
time,
things out there.
if you were prime minister at the time, that's what he would do.
You know something, Peter?
No, you must
you're
not do
spewing
that.
your things
You
out
must not
there,
do that. You must not
and
do that to
you're
score.
spewing
Because you have
a
issues
lot
with the
of
government.
your
You
own
must not do
kind
this
of
thing.
nonsense. And I personally can't
No,
take it
don't-
on
don't-
for
do
the
not
whole
come-
night.
do not use
Let
your-
us
do not
bother
use your
whatever.
program
Don't
to spread
come and tell
misinformation.
me
Right,
what
do
to
not
do or what
twist
not to
things.
do.
No,
Good
do
night,
not do
Peter,
that. That's
and
all like-
good night. Take care. I'll talk to you another time.
All right.
Good night. Yeah. Well, listeners, I'm sure you all heard the argument, and it has been really tough tonight with things. But I don't understand his argument. And if you say that if you were in a position, somebody else calling, let me see who's that person there. Hello, good night. Hello, good night.
Good night, Ras IPA. Greetings. I had to call back after this. Oh my goodness, you have the patience of a, I don't even know what, but bravo to you because I know how other people would have handled that call. But you said Palay Fwanchman. I guess the name speaks for itself.
Yes.
But IPA, please make sure you drink some water because after that kind of call, you need a nice glass of water. And when you go home, relax, please. I need to clear something out because this gentleman who kept going on and on and on, like an unused library, Brother IPA, I need to say to him, there is no way that any sensible person, somebody who has an open mind, a free thinking mind, somebody who's very wise would ever listen to what I said and take it to mean that I'm saying to nurses and doctors to go out there and strike and let people in the hospital die. It just goes to show the level of thinking by some people that call themselves hackalacks, tackalacks, tic-tacs, whatever they want to class themselves as, right? He's calling to make a point. I'm certain the line was free before I even called. I'm certain of that. He didn't call. Why? Because he needed somebody to poke him. You know, poke him out of whatever it is, wherever he was under whatever case. Okay, or stone. But I just don't get his arguments. But I'm telling you, brother Ipa, to all those listening.
But caller, you can see where he's going. He's accusing me of as if I'm like Trump or I'm like UWP. I haven't said nothing like that to him. I have not told him that he's like anybody.
Brother Ipa, you have the patience of, I should say, maybe a rock. I don't even know. But kudos to you, like I'm going to say. But I just called back to respond to this gentleman who listens without understanding. He listened just to come and call you and to blast you and to bombard you with a lot of nonsense, in my opinion. But he did not listen to understand, because if he understood what I was saying, he would know that out of chaos comes peace. Sometimes people do the most, I don't know, unusual things to create awareness. If something not working, brother Ipa, you stand up for your rights. That's all I'm saying. In whatever way you see fit, that is you and your judgment. I've realized that political madness is the worst of all kind of madness you can think of. And I'm just going to leave you with this, brother Ipa. Mark Twain says, loyalty to country, always, but loyalty to government, when it deserves it. And I will leave it as that. Have a good night, my brother.
Thank you very much, my dear. I appreciate it so much. Yes, thank you very much. And I just want to say good night to all who've been listening. I'm sure you have appreciated the discourse tonight. And I really want to say I'm looking forward for next week, Tuesday, with Palay Fwanchman, with me, Ras IPA, your host. And I'm hoping that you will tune in as well. And those who are listening, continue listening. And those who call, continue calling. And others, please call, because we need some interactive kind of approach to this whole thing about discussing the issues that affect our country, St. Lucia. So let's be happy that you guys are there. So, the film song of it? Just kind of. Yeah. Okay. Well, so take it easy. This was Palay Fwanchman with Peter Ras IPA Isaac, and we will stream it live on Caribbean Hits FM, and we will also simultaneously simulcast with 92.1 FM in the north and 91.1 in the south. And we're signing off on tonight, and we're hoping that you will tune in next week Tuesday on the Palay Fwanchman with Peter Ras IPA Isaac.